I love capitalism. Not so long ago, Nintendo gave us our first sneak peek at the Nintendo Switch 2, and last week we were given a proper in-depth look at that console, as well as some of the games and accessories that are coming forward at launch. So some of the big takeaways that we had from the hardware were: one, the screen is bigger. It's now up to about 7.9 inches in diameter, which is way bigger than what we had in the original Nintendo Switch. It's also a 1080p display. It's still LCD, but given that things like the PlayStation Portal are also LCD displays, I don't have any concerns about the quality of what we're going to be seeing on there. They also touted that the display would support games pushing up to 120 frames per second, which leads us to believe that that display is probably a variable refresh rate display. But one of the other really important things that was mentioned was when you dock the Nintendo Switch 2, it'll actually be able to push games to 4K resolutions, which, coming from a company who struggled with 900p resolutions with the Nintendo Switch 1, I'm pretty excited to see what we're going to get from this. And as well as the impressive display technology that the Switch 2 is going to have, there's also the storage inside. So if you owned a Switch 1, you'll know that your storage originally was about 32 gigabytes in size. Well, now Nintendo's going to be giving you 256 gigabytes of storage. Bear in mind the games are going to be significantly bigger than what they were on the Switch 1, so it's not as if you're going to be fitting your entire library on the internal drive alone. It's still nice to see them progressing. We had a better look at the Joy-Cons as well, and the rumor that we had mouse connectivity was also confirmed. Both Joy-Cons will function as mice, and there will be games that have mouse functionality built into them. The last little bit of hardware that I want to touch on before we move on to the games that were announced is the camera. That's right, there is a camera. Now the Switch 2 has got a top and bottom USB-C port, which means if you are using it in tabletop mode, you can charge it. It also means you can plug in the webcam to the USB-C port on top whilst it's in the dock position and video yourself and stream it to your mates. Because Nintendo has finally introduced Game Chat. Yes, no longer do you need to have a third-party app, or do you need to have an app on your phone running at all. You can simply talk to your friends through your console, much like you were all able to do on your Xbox 360s back in the day. But it's good to see Nintendo finally taking that leap forward. The only downside is it appears that when you do stream your games to your friends, it's going to be looking like it was filmed on a potato at about 10 frames per second at best. I probably won't be rushing to do that, but it's nice to see it. That leads me around to the button on the controller. We were all wondering what it meant. The C button, well, it stands for chat, and you press it to chat. And Game Chat requires a subscription. If you haven't got a paid membership to Nintendo Switch Online, once the free trial for Game Chat runs out, which is going to be at some point next year, you've got a button that does nothing. Oh, and if you're looking at that Hori Piranha Plant webcam that was announced, bear in mind the Nintendo one is 1080p. That one literally is 640 by 480, which not so good. But hardware aside, it's the games that we're all here for. Nintendo closed off the last direct that they had regarding the Switch 2 with a glimpse at Mario Kart. But this time we got a proper in-depth look at that game. So the game itself is called Mario Kart World, and it does look like it's going to be a lot of fun. The whole idea behind it is that you can, and I quote, drive virtually anywhere. We've seen it in games like Forza Horizon and Burnout Paradise, just to name a couple, where you had a whole open world and you would start races wherever you could find them. But we've never seen it with Mario Kart. Mario, you've normally been locked into race after race after race in a Grand Prix style, but now, no, you've got the ability to do your Grand Prix, or you can free roam, which is pretty sick. With the Grand Prix, when you do one race, you will then drive to the next one as well. Now, we don't know if there's going to be a way of just having the normal race, or if it'll always be drive to the next one, because that begs the question, how are you getting a Rainbow Road? We also know there's going to be some battle modes in there, but we're not 100% on what they are yet. But for more information on Mario Kart World, Nintendo is hosting a direct on April 17th, so we'll watch that and see what comes out from that. Now, we all knew that the Nintendo Switch 2 was going to play Switch 1 games as well, but we didn't really know what it was going to do with them. There was hopes it was going to upscale everything, or hopes it would just play them better, but Nintendo did confirm we will be having some upgrades to some games. They kicked off with Mario Party Jamboree, which isn't my forte, it's not really my bag. It's not my style of game. I've never really liked the Mario Party games. There are going to be some additional features coming for that, but the main ones that interested me were Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which are both going to be getting upscaled graphics, full HDR support as well, improved frame rates, which they showed off Korok Forest for that, which if those of you who have played Breath of the Wild will understand that that game struggled. Quite a nice nod to show how powerful the console actually was. You're also going to get an app on your phone, which is going to give you a map, which is live. I don't know how that works. works, but it feels like it's going to be like Navi was on Ocarina of Time for you a little bit. There's going to be a few other games that get upgrades as well. It's also worth noting that some of these upgrades will be available as upgrade packs or upgrade add-ons, they're calling them, which are additional fees. Some will be free, and some will be included if you are a Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. That is a mouthful. Can you please think of a better name for that, Nintendo? If you are subscribed to that service, they've already announced that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom will be included in that with the free upgrade. After those announcements, we got our first look at a bunch of other games, and there was quite a lot announced here, some of which was just coming in launch day, some of which was just coming in what I would call launch windows, like the first month or so after release, and then there's a few more which are coming towards the end of the year or even into next year. But some notable highlights were, now I hope you're sat down for this one, but Cyberpunk is coming. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, which includes the Phantom Liberty DLC, is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. It is incredible how CD Projekt Red have managed to do this. They did it with The Witcher 3, where they managed to get all of that on one cart with all the DLC, and turns out this time they're doing it as well. One of the other big launch titles which was announced was Street Fighter 6. Now, Street Fighter 6 is coming in two different flavors. You're going to get the normal standard edition of Street Fighter 6, and then you're also going to get years 1 and 2, which includes all 26 fighters for it. It looks like they put in a few new features regarding like motion controls and stuff, but it's not something that I'm going to be playing. I'm a bit of a purist in that I would need an arcade stick to play it, but it's nice to see it. For those of you that want a real fighting game experience,
play Third Strike.
We had Hogwarts Legacy get some announcements. We had Hitman, 2K were there with WWE and NBA. EA confirmed they're bringing FC and NFL over. They didn't mention NHL though, which is really upsetting because it's probably the only sports franchise from EA that I really love playing. It was at this point where Nintendo kind of confirmed something which we'd all wanted for a very long time. For Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack members, we're going to be getting GameCube games. On launch day, you'll have access to games such as Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Soul Calibur 2. They did show some other games that were coming. I'm not sure what the release window is for them. You could see Super Mario Strikers was in there, a couple of Pokemon games in there, as well as Luigi's Mansion. It'll be interesting to see what comes out for that and how this impacts games such as maybe a Wind Waker HD re-release, please. Another surprise announcement that we had was Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is coming. I didn't think I'd be saying those words, but I'm really impressed. I think it's really cool to see Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to the Switch 2, especially because of how popular and successful that game has been. It's really cool to see that Square are pushing that out to the Nintendo Switch 2. We were then treated to a sizzle reel of a bunch of games that were coming out. Notably, Silksong was in there, which means it's still coming out this year, apparently. It was after this sizzle reel where things took a turn for the weird and confusing in a really good way, because From Software were there, and From Software showed off a game that we all thought was Bloodborne 2, and it's not Bloodborne 2, but it pretty much feels like it. We got our first look at and get ready for this, Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive Duskbloods. We know it's a PvPvE game. We don't really know what it's going to be like to play. We do know that the characters are kind of fixed. You don't have your own that you build from scratch, but Miyazaki is behind the helm of this. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does with this and how it all just comes together in the end. So after the third-party announcements were done, we then saw another game make a return with a sequel, which none of us really counted on coming. Kirby Air Riders getting a sequel with Kirby Air Riders. What we do know here is Masahiro Sakurai is directing this, so it's in good hands, and it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with this. And then we had another game announcement from Nintendo. A first-party game which I don't think anyone saw coming, but it's Donkey Kong Bonanza, and it looks like a spiritual successor to Donkey Kong 64, and it looks really good. Like really good. It looks like it's going to be genuinely fun. It's kind of like a Mario Odyssey-esque vibe I'm getting from it, but with Donkey Kong, who's been redesigned. Never forget what they took from us. We don't really know much more about the game. It does look as though you're going to be able to smash through most things and use a lot of DK strength. I'm just hoping it's not going to be a collectathon slog like the one on the N64 was. It looks like it's going to be a really fun game. It's not a launch title, but it is in that sort of launch window area. And that was a direct. One thing they missed, which everyone was kind of waiting with bated breath for, was the price. Now we know the Switch 2 is launching on June 5th, but that was all we knew. We didn't know what the price was. You had to then go on the website to find the price out afterwards, which felt a little bit un-Nintendo. So the console itself is £395, and then the console with the Mario Kart World is £429. But if you buy the Switch 2 console on its own and don't get Mario Kart World with it, to buy it in the future is going to cost you at least £66.99 for a digital copy and £74.99 for a physical one. That's a lot of Freddo bars. That's the news that's kind of soured the Direct for a lot of people, and myself included. It's not something which I really thought I'd be seeing, but I kind of thought that Grand Theft Auto 6 was going to be the game that kind of spearheaded higher game prices, not Mario Kart. This is the world that we are in now. I know that I'm lucky that I've been able to get a pre-order in, and I know that there's people out there who haven't been so lucky, especially those in North America where the pre-orders have kind of been delayed to an unknown date at this point in time. I think it's in May. I just hope that everyone else out there who is trying to get a pre-order does get one. Overall, I'm pretty happy with what we got. At the time, I can say for certain I was not, but going back, rewatching the footage in a proper 4K resolution, thinking about it a bit more, and some of the things that have been announced afterwards as well, I'm actually really content with what we have. And it looks like it's going to be a really fun launch as well. I'm really looking forward to playing Mario Kart World and getting stuck into it. And I'm also looking forward to DK Bonanza when it eventually comes out as well. It's going to be really interesting to see how this extra power benefits certain games, so that companies like Monolith Soft can make games like Xenoblade Chronicles 4, hopefully, and make it look even better. And so that Game Freak can finally make a Pokemon game that looks half decent. I know you get a Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade for ZA, but come on, those windows are still just painted on, and we all know it.